New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Live from a secure concrete bunker somewhere in Ohio, New Thought Media Network presents Pastor Michael Mangus with Friday's Fireside Chat, spiritual conversation for today. Here he is from the secret radio room, surrounded by thousands of watts, Pastor Michael Mangus.
All right. Well, welcome to everyone this evening across the United States and also around the world. It is time once again for another fun-filled, thrill-packed, and guaranteed always exciting edition of the Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. Pastor Michael Mangus with you, broadcasting this evening from the secret radio room, surrounded, and I mean surrounded, by tens of thousands of watts in the secure concrete bunker somewhere around Akron, Ohio, that is so secure that only one person, and that is my producer, Diego Reyes, knows where I am located. Everyone else, including Robert Brzezinski, has no clue where my super secret concrete bunker is located. Oh, we have a wonderful show for you this evening. Please feel free to interact with us by posting your comments below on Facebook and also in StreamYard. And again, for all my shy people out there, I know you're out there, please feel free to contact me by email. I do read them during the week. PastorMichaelMangus@gmail.com. PastorMichaelMangus@gmail.com. So the purpose of our Fireside Chat is to get real. We talk about contemporary issues from a New Thought perspective. And we have on guests that talk about our wonderful message and also how you can apply it to your daily life. Happy Friday the 13th to everyone. This is your lucky day because our special guest all the way from Sarasota, Florida this evening, waiting in the wings, is the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta from the Conscious Aging Connection. Dr. Toni is a longtime religious science minister, has more degrees than anyone I've ever known. But no, she's up there on the degree number. She'll be speaking to us this evening about how to age consciously. So Toni LaMotta will be our very special guest here in the second half of our program. All right, Diego. We do have breaking news here from the newsroom. Breaking news this evening from the Spiritual Broadcasting Network. I am Michael Mangus reporting. Guess who's done with the master's program at Holmes Institute? Finally, after 6 years. I have taken my last capstone exam. Yes, finally. And now what I'm getting, Diego's clapping in the background. And now Diego and Reverend Robert are sending me to-do lists. This Homes Institute journey for me began back in 2016 when I decided to retire from the county government after 32 years of service there to do what I really love to do, and that's ministry. So thank you to the Reverend Dr. Cece Coltrane, who's our dean now. She had the regional teaching chapter down in Dayton, and I was able to take a lot online at Homes Institute. I think paneling is now in October. I'll have to check with the staff rabbi here, Laura Topper. She's in charge of me to make sure I get the paneling. Thank you again to everyone for your love and support. I really appreciate you. And again, maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to call me Reverend without me cringing that another religious science minister may complain. Now, for the record now, I was ordained by Carlton Pearson and overseen by his organization since 2013. And I use the term pastor instead of reverend out of respect for our fine CSL ministers, even though I can use the title reverend. And I always wanted to attend Homes Institute. How wonderful. What a great manifestation that is. So I'm just happy that it's over and we'll be moving on here in our ministerial quest here. In today's news, we have several stories, starting with Ukraine. Millions of people around the world will die if the Ukraine's Black Sea ports aren't reopened, says the head of the UN World Food Program, that's David Beasley. The official is pleading with Russian President Vladimir Putin to reopen the channels, and the EU is proposing ways to ease the blockade of produce exports like corn, wheat, and barley out of the Ukraine. The EU's top diplomat announced today that the bloc will provide $521 million in military support to Ukraine. Meanwhile, a sustained Ukrainian counteroffense was hampered after at least 2 bridges vital to the attack were blown up. However, Ukrainian forces are still reportedly pressing on in the area. And again, the offensive is now going on in the eastern part of Ukraine. Our prayers are with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, the communities that are there from Centers for Spiritual Living, our practitioners, and also our communities, as far as we know, are safe. And we have a group of ministers and practitioners who are continuing to stay in contact with them and also praying for them each and every day. So you pray with me as long as, and also with our prayer ministry for peace in Ukraine. Another story that's been taken over the headlines is about baby formula. Have you read about this? Parents are looking for answers and alternatives as the baby formula shortage continues to worsen here in the U.S. A recall and plant shutdown from Abbott Nutrition in February snowballed into a larger supply chain issue, resulting in extremely high out-of-stock rates for baby formula. 43% for the week ending on May 8th. The American baby formula market is relatively shut off from other countries due to regulatory constraints and also recent trade agreements. So for you to put out a baby formula here in the United States, it has to be regulated by the FDA. To all my moms out there, I know some of you are watching this program. Check with your pediatrician before you give your young ones any of the formula recipes out there. Yes, I know breast milk is preferred, but how about the case of the two dads who need formula? And again, from experience, the internet may be a source of information. However, as I've said from the beginning of COVID, God or spirit also works through our medical doctors and scientists. So check with them, especially concerning our young ones. Well, hi there. Good evening. This is the news portion of our Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. Pastor Michael Mangus with you. We have news. Republican lawmakers are calling on Attorney General Merrick Garland to enforce a 1950 federal law that makes it illegal to hold protests outside of homes of judges. Protests have been in front of the homes of multiple conservative Supreme Court justices after the publication of a Supreme Court draft opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade. Meanwhile, leading abortion groups are urging state lawmakers to reject legislation that would criminalize women for having abortions. And their call is prompted by fears that women who have abortions could be charged criminally. I have another article, but I won't read that. My response to all of this is that we must continue. Again, this is my viewpoint, my opinion here. We must continue to support a woman's right to choose here in the U.S. And I find that the so-called pro-life movement is pro-birth. So my question here is, how do we support the mother and child after the birth? Do we provide adequate food, housing, and shelter to the family? Do we support welfare programs that truly get families self-supporting through educational training? Again, the unborn is an easy thing to protest because they don't say anything. And as a man, who am I to say what a woman should or shouldn't do? A woman's right to medical care includes, in my opinion, safe legal abortions, and that is being threatened here. And who is making most of the legislation? Of course, men are. They're making the legislation. The pro-lifers may be able to eliminate or downgrade Roe v. Wade. And again, I personally think that what's going to happen here is one of the conservative judges is going to go ahead and to be in the middle so that Roe v. Wade is not completely overturned. That's just my guess here. However, by limiting abortions to certain states, that's the tactic here that they want to do. Let's understand that the rich and the well-off always have access to abortions. All they need to do is to get on a plane and go to another state or another country where abortion is legal. Again, I support women, and I support women's right to choose, and I support the right of every woman to have access to health care, including safe and legal abortion. And all of my Christian friends out there, where did Jesus teach about abortion in the scriptures? Well, it's not there. And again, many Jewish groups are opposed to the reversal of Roe v. Wade because in many instances, Jewish teaching allows abortion under certain circumstances. It is all in the right of choice. And who is next here? My LGBTQ friends are saying that they are next, that they will be denied the right to marriage. Again, we're just going to have to just stay on the information sideline about that. And again, I usually don't get political here in this program. Vote for whoever you want. I don't care. But however, know this, that whoever you vote for has the power to make decisions that will affect you, your family, and society. So I encourage you this fall to be informed before you vote. In other news here, North Korea has announced its first COVID-19 death, the result of an explosive outbreak that state media says has sickened more than 350,000 in that country. North Korea has never reported COVID deaths before, though few believe the nation of 25 million, however isolated, has managed to avoid the effects of a deadly global virus. A large majority of the country and a large outbreak in that country could prove disastrous since its recluse policies and poor healthcare infrastructure leave it extremely ill prepared for a large onset of patients. That's talking about hospitalization. China has already offered assistance, and also South Korea and the U.S. have said that they are open to dialogue. And May 12th this week marks a grim but anticipated milestone. Just 2 years into the COVID-19 pandemic, more than 1 million Americans have died from the virus. The number is one that felt unimaginable at the start of the pandemic in March, when COVID-19 was just beginning to spread around the country. But as cases soared, the deaths did too. So for 2 years now, yours truly has been encouraging, not telling you, but encouraging you to follow the science and practice our powerful New Thought philosophy. I do believe that the killing disease is not just COVID-19, it is fear. And the other thing that's been deadly has been all the misinformation propagated on our friend, the internet. This pandemic has had its good points. Let's take a look at those. It made us all slow down for several months. It gave us all a chance to reevaluate our lives. Many individuals here in the United States have made the decision to either work from home or get another job that they can. This great pause has also pushed many spiritual communities to use technology for the very first time. And I'm getting my second booster this weekend. And one of those million deaths was my mother, Etta Mangus, who caught it from a healthcare aide in a senior facility. Every single death from COVID has affected everyone. So I encourage everyone here, continue your self-care here. Get your vaccines unless told otherwise by your healthcare professionals. One more story. This is the quote of the day. The barrier between the regard in which they held her couldn't penetrate into her heart, and the lie the disease told her was so convincing. And that was Ashley Judd, who revealed that her mother, Naomi Judd, died by suicide. The country music icon took her life the day before she and her daughter, Winona, who made up the musical duo The Judge, were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. And I say this because I miss my friend Mark. Mark was wonderful. He was on podcast and talking about health and wellness and fitness. And then he started to talk to me about leaving. And Mark also was an EMT who a couple of times saved people's lives on flights. Well, not only did he know how to save lives, but he also knew how to take his own. And that's what he did. Please, this is something not to mess around with here. If you're experiencing depression, please, for goodness sakes, get public about it. Again, not only talk to your minister and practitioners, but also go get help. It's out there. It's available to you. You do not have to go through a dark night of the soul alone. It can get that dark, and it got so dark that, unfortunately, that Naomi Judd made the decision to end her own life. Please get help. All right? Well, hi there. Welcome. This is the evening broadcast of the New Thought Media Network. Pastor Michael Mangus with you. I am done with the news. It's 8:20, Diego. What do you think? Yeah. Diego has been saying in meetings, he says, Pastor, I like your news portion, but it's just too long. I actually listen to him once in a while. I know it's amazing. Well, this evening, our announcements are, yours truly is currently parking himself at Summit CSL. For more information, go to summitcsl.org there, and only there you will find information about our wonderful Sunday gathering online at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 in the morning Pacific time. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, your espresso, your chai. Please join us. I do believe that we have one of the best services that I've ever seen in New Thought because, again, that we have a balance of music, a balance of message, a balance of meditation. And this Sunday, there will be a very special guest speaker in Pastor Michael Mangus. And I'll be speaking this Sunday about the women of New Thought. So go to summitcsl.org for more information how to join our Zoom call. And also our services also simulcast on the Summit Spiritual Center of Akron Facebook page. And also our Facebook page also has past broadcasts of the Fireside Chat. And yours truly when he's doing prayer here on the New Thought Media Network. It amazes me how much impact that this network is making after 2 years. We get emails, we get cards, we get letters from people around the world that are being affected positively by the programming here on this network. And you can be a part by donating. You may go to ntmedia.org/donate. There you can give a very generous one-time gift. Or you may do what I do, and that's partner every single month. Our partners are the ones that, again, help us set budgets. Our partners are the ones that have caught the vision that spirituality is not just for me. It's not just for them. It's for the whole world. I have the responsibility, I believe, again, to take that love that has been generously revealed to me and to give that to the world. So help us, please. Go to ntmedia.org/donate. And we just so appreciate all of your love. And we appreciate that love coming through your donation. All right. All right, time for a break. And then we will have the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta on our program this evening talking about conscious aging. You're watching the Friday Evening Fireside Chat here on your New Thought Media Network.
views and opinions expressed by Pastor Michael Mangus are generally right. However, they are his own and do not reflect the views and opinions of New Thought Media Network, Centers for Spiritual Living, or any other person living or dead. As they say in the 12-Step Recovery Program, take what you like and leave the rest. Here again is Pastor Michael.
And the reason we're able to go to conferences like in Geneva has been because of generous donations of people like yourself, and also a very generous grant from the Heffernan Foundation, who gave us a wonderful grant for us to be able to buy the equipment that we need to be able to do these conferences. So again, thank you to everyone. Again, you are making a difference in the world. So I'd like to introduce to you this evening my special guest, the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta. She is a provocative and inspiring international professional speaker, #1 best-selling author, master teacher, highly regarded as an online life coach and supporter of other authors. She has a vision of changing the way that the world views midlife and aging to help people become their authentic selves and to make progress on their spiritual journey. Her latest work stresses ageful gracing and also consciously approaching the aging process and overcoming the fear of death. She was the founding minister and also the senior minister of Sarasota Celebration Center and also the Community Center for Spiritual Living. And she's currently president of her own organization, Conscious Aging Connection. Toni asked me, how did we find each other? And she sent me an email. She holds a doctorate in religious studies as well as a doctorate of divinity degree, and not one, not two, but 3 master's degrees in pastoral ministry, because she was a nun for so many years, adult education, and mathematics. So she's smart. She also spent 10 years as an adjunct faculty member, and also she's on faculty at the Holmes Institute Florida campus, where she trains the future of the science of mind and spirit through its ministers. Oh, it's so nice to have with us this evening, again from Sarasota, the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta. Hello, good evening, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Delightful to be with you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I noticed on your website here and on also all of your material that you use an image of a dragonfly. So can you tell us what is the significance of that and how does that relate to conscious aging?
Well, most people don't realize it, but the dragonfly doesn't get its true colors until it reaches maturity. So when you're dealing with the aging process, which, by the way, the aging process starts from the day we're born, but when we're dealing with the aging process, we're looking at how we can be more alert, more true colors, how we can be more truly who we are. So the dragonfly has become the logo for my business, my ministry, and I'm sitting here in my office right now with a wall full of presents people have given me of dragonflies of all forms. But it really, I also have one on a tattoo here. The dragonfly is actually even deeper transformation than the butterfly because it comes from the mud. And
Wow.
it lives very briefly, but when it reaches maturity, it gets colors. So some of us hopefully reach maturity earlier than others, but that's where it comes from.
So how do you define conscious aging? Tell us about that.
Well, there are lots of people who've written books on it, and I used to quote them. And then I started realizing, basically, to me, aging consciously is about embracing the actual process of aging itself as a means of spiritual growth. It's most people are like fighting aging all the time. And for me, when we become aware that what's actually happening both in our bodies, our minds, and everything else around us, our life experience, we can see those as spiritual gifts. So aging consciously is recognizing that.
So what is our first steps here? How do we consciously age here? How do we do that? What's a
Well,
good first step?
I actually have 4 steps in my book, but before I even get to those, one of the things I think is most important is to let go of the message that the world is giving us about anti-aging. If you can't turn on your TV without it being some message about anti-aging. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be anti anything, least of all aging. So to me, it's just noticing in yourself where you are with that whole concept, and noticing if you're listening to, those messages and saying, yeah, I got to look young, I've got to be younger, I have to act younger, all those things. Those are the messages we're giving. We need to let those go. We also need to then also, when I look at the 4 stages, the first stage is about letting go of those fears that we have about aging and all the myths that there are in aging, and then finding the spiritual truth and the message behind aging is a real important piece. And there's a couple of others. We can get to those.
If you're wondering what you've stumbled onto this evening, welcome. This is the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. I am talking with the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta, who also does our training of ministers down in Florida at the Holmes Institute campus there. And we're talking about her passion, and that is about conscious aging. And Dr. LaMotta, so how do we overcome the fear of getting old? That's one of the things that, again, in counseling, the people are afraid of getting old. They're afraid of aging out of their jobs. I read an article this week about a man who, again, HR, human resources, tried their very best to get him out to get younger workers. And so how do we start to overcome our fear of it?
Well, one of the things is to recognize what is in life is gift in all things. So whatever is happening, because the aging process itself, it does bring us some of these challenges. There's a whole ageism in the corporate world. So yes, people are going to lose jobs but if we'll look at when that's happening, we can look at how have we defined ourselves. When people define themselves by their job, then it's a huge threat to be losing it. But if we define ourselves as the spiritual beings that we are, and we define ourselves by our essence rather than by those experiences, then it takes some of that edge off, and those fears can lessen. There are a number of techniques, I think, because I think there's so many myths out there about aging, and part of the fear is because we bought into those myths. And so letting ourselves become aware of what it is we believe, just as anything else in New Thought. When we notice what it is we're believing, that's the kind of experience we're bringing about. And there have been studies that show that if you believe you're going to decline in age, you're more likely to decline in age. If you believe that you can't keep learning, you can't keep learning. If you believe you're losing your memory, guess what? So that's one of the things, is to practice what it is that we teach. And we can let go of those fears when we recognize, whatever is happening is a gift to us, number one. And we need to look at, how am I defining myself? And that definition changes as we age, like the dragonfly. We're getting new colors as we age. And so if we're constantly defining ourselves by what we used to be, that's the biggest problem people have with aging. It's like they wish it were different. They wish they could do what they used to do. And I like to teach people, I do teach a course on conscious aging, and I teach people, find the experience and the feeling you had when you were doing what it is you can no longer do. That's what you're looking for, not necessarily the same experience.
Yes. And I have been gifted with several role models And I started to think about this like 20 years ago about how do I want to age? And I always remember that when I went ahead and started Holmes Institute, people said, "You're 56 years old. You're gonna be 59, 60 before you even get out." And I said, you know what? I want to be 59, 60 with my degree. No matter what you think. So talk to me about the whole idea of good models of aging. What can we learn from others about how to successfully age?
Well, you know what? The internet is filled with all kinds of videos of people in their 90s climbing mountains and doing exercise and all kinds of stuff. But I personally had one incredible example. I used to do a lot of volunteering as a hospice volunteer. And there was one woman that I visited every week, and she was 104 when I visited to her. She
Wow.
lasted till, 106. And I asked her, she was living in this like 2 little room apartment in a nursing home. And I said to her, how do you feel about being here? And she said, when I arrived, I realized I could be disturbed and upset, or I could decide to be content.
Wow.
And she said, I made a decision to be content, and it's made all the difference. I mean, did that ever strike me in my own life at the moment? It's like, oh, what are the things that I'm like wanting to be different? Can I just be content? The other thing she was doing, she was learning constantly. She was from Sweden, and she used to read the newspaper in Swedish every day. And to me, it was amazing. So one of my own, one of the things that I believe in is lifelong learning, as you can tell from all my degrees. But I constantly am learning something new. And that, by the way, is the way scientists are telling us to keep our brain cells going, number
Absolutely.
one. But she really was a model of that for me, a model especially about how to be happy. Then she also showed me pictures of all the homes she had lived in, and they were beautiful. She lived on a lake, she had a boat, and, all kinds of things. And she was a pilot, by the way, in her days. I mean,
Wow.
fascinating lady. But she said to me, I could be upset that I no longer have those things and that I'm living here, or I could be grateful that I had them. And I choose instead to be grateful for all of those happy memories. I mean, every time I visited her, I got another lesson about how to age gracefully. And it's never left me. I mean, this is going on a number of years ago that I knew her. And it was just amazing kind of experience. And there was another woman. I mean, I learned so much from these people that I visited. And another woman in her mid 90s used to say to me, I'm wondering why I'm still alive. And I saw her constantly smiling and thanking all of the helpers. And I said, you know how many people they must go through during the day who are complaining or who are, yelling at them, and just think about how you respond and what that must mean. And I vowed at that moment to respond the way Della did. I mean, she was just constantly grateful. And she was constantly, appreciating every little thing anybody ever did for her. And, that was a lesson that I had a hard time learning because I'm very independent. I can do things on my own. And as I get older, I need help on certain things. And I'm now like really grateful for the people who do help me and the ways that they help me. And it's been, I think of her every time when I'm saying thank you to someone for something that I used to do very easily and can no longer do on my own. So it's wonderful.
And I always think of the study they did a few years ago on the Loretto nuns, where they were able, the scientists, the doctors were wondering why this group of nuns were doing so well in their latter years. And the reason was because that they kept learning every day. They keep reading every day. And they also incorporated some sort of movement, some sort of walking every day. And so they were able then to autopsy the brains of these nuns. And what they found was that there was Alzheimer's there. But again, it was very much delayed because of what they were doing, keeping the brain active and also keep moving. So that was my model of what to do here in latter years, is again to keep learning. I'm not done yet. I actually am taking a look at a DMIN program, so I'm not done yet. But even if you don't do formal education, is that, oh my goodness, there's so much to learn on the internet, so many wonderful courses and things that, again, that now that you are in your latter years, you can go ahead and you can do that. That's one of the nice things about the internet too. So,
well, the other thing is to be mentoring the younger generation. I think one of the things many years ago when I created my independent business, I called myself the Midlife Mentor. And I love that title. And I also think that makes such a difference when, I keep in touch with ministry, not only through teaching in the School of Ministry, but I'm the mentor to several of the newest ministers. As they graduate, they usually have to get a mentor. And it keeps me in touch. It also gives me a sense of real fulfillment. My sister lives in a community that's an intergenerational community, which is phenomenal. It was created by Rudolf Steiner, and the whole purpose was to help the elderly. And what they do is live with people of all different generations. And I got involved last year in a program myself where they took all of those of us who were over 60 with the students in middle school. And it was, Michael, you would have loved this.
that sounds fun.
We got paired with one student, and over a period of a few months, we kept meeting and we had to learn about each other's lives. And then we had to do a theater production. We had to do a presentation as the other person. Right?
That sounds fun.
I was a 10-year-old little black boy who wanted to be a fireman. And it was such fun getting up on stage. We had a full audience of their families and all of our friends showed up. And, I got to speak in his name and he in my name. It was just, and we will probably be friends for life. I mean, when I left him, I gave him a little keychain with a dragonfly and a firefighter hat on it. And he looked at me and hugged me and said, I'm keeping this for life. I mean, I can't even tell you. It was amazing. To me, that's what, keeps us young, is to stay with young people. I don't have children of my own, so I hang around with young people and help mentor younger people in my life so that, and I think that that's a wonderful thing that we can be doing. And it's a time to volunteer. This is a time of our lives where we can give back, immensely. And that's part of what keeps us young as well.
Again, if you wonder what you stumbled onto again this evening, this is the Friday evening Fireside Chat here on the New Thought Media Network. Pastor Michael Mangus, and I am with the Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta. And we are talking this evening about her passion, which is conscious aging. If you'd like to get a hold of Dr. LaMotta, this is her website address, ToniLaMotta.com. And there you'll get all kinds of information about conscious aging. There's all kinds of wonderful articles. There's also a timetable of classes there if you'd like to get a hold of her. Again, Dr. Toni LaMotta, and again, conscious aging. And again, if you are wondering how to do that, or would like to do it a little more gracefully, because we're all going to get older. That's guaranteed. So how can we do it in a way that, again, not only is fulfilling for us, but also to the whole world. You talk about, in your materials, talk about a life review. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? When should you do it, and why should you do it?
Well, I've heard different people talk about different times. You'll see on my website I have some videos of Jane Fonda, who is an advocate of this, and she's now in her 80s. I think she said she started doing them on her 40th birthday. I think that a life review is not something you just do once, but it's an opportunity to look back. And here's the question: what does my life wish to become? It's not about reviewing the past to kind of wallow in the past. It's about looking at the seeds of possibility that are still in those past experiences that now want to still be born. So, for example, if you were a singer and can no longer sing, you might do a life review about your history as a singer and see what the singing itself will speak to you and perhaps show you how you can use that gift going forward. It's amazing. So the life review it can be to clean up the past if we have things that need to be forgiven, if we have things that are unfinished business. We can do dialogues with people. The life review process is a very unique journaling technique. It's not just sit and write stories. It's hard to describe the whole thing right now. I base the way I teach it on the process that I was taught by a man named Ira Progoff. Ira Progoff wrote the intensive journal technique.
Yes.
And so many of the life review things that I do are from Progoff's work itself. And it is life-changing. It's something I have been doing for probably 30 years now. And I don't do it every week, every day, but periodically I go back. And I think it's a great thing to do on your birthday, number one, but it's best to do, especially when you're in transition or you're looking at like what's next, or you have a question that needs an answer. Your past often tells you what the future wants to be.
So you talked about forgiveness here as part of that. So how does that play a part in not only your life review, but in your life?
Well, forgiveness is one of the key ingredients of living a fruitful and happy life. And part of it is to live in the moment means to let go of whatever it is you're still holding on to from the past. And to me, forgiveness is really mostly about forgiving ourselves, because I think we're hardest on ourselves than we are on anybody else. But I have found very often in doing the life review, one of the techniques is to do a dialogue. And you do a dialogue, as I said, with singing would be one thing, but you can do a dialogue with people that you may have some unfinished business with. And in doing the dialogue, before you do the dialogue, you actually need to review their life. And you literally step in their shoes. It's a technique that we use where we literally write like the 10 major events of a person's life. And in doing that, you suddenly feel from their point of view. And so when you can walk in another person's moccasins, it makes it almost impossible not to forgive. You start seeing from their viewpoint, and then you speak to them in a dialogue routine. And it's amazing the kind of thing that happens. You start to see things differently. And the reason that we're not forgiving is because we made some judgment somewhere along the line, some prejudice, something got in our way. So when we can have a new perspective, we certainly can forgive.
So we only have a few more minutes here. So give us an exercise that we can go ahead and we can use tonight.
Okay. Well, you know what I just described for another person, do for yourself. And that would be the 10 or 12 major events that made you who you are today. Now, every time you do this exercise, by the way, those events might change. It may seem strange, but sit down and simply say, what are the 10 major events that have made my life what it is? And for some people, if you want a spiritual slant to it, you can say, what are the 10 major spiritual experiences that have brought me to who I am as a spiritual being? So you can do it either way or both ways. And there's a lot more you can do with it. But just doing that, many people are like, whoa, I had no recognition that that was so important. Or, wow, I can see how one thing led to another, and there's more. There's always room for more.
Yeah, and if you don't know if you feel uncomfortable in doing it alone, again, get a hold of Dr. Toni. She'll be more than happy to lead you through that. She does personal coaching as well as other classes. You mentioned earlier that there were 4 steps to the process. So talk to us about the steps, and then what is the 4th step?
Well, I mentioned before, learning about the fears and the myths, the life review, looking at the spiritual dimension of aging. What are the spiritual lessons? And the 4th step is looking at the intentions for your future. There's nothing, and that includes preparing to die. I know that that's not something everybody wants to hear, but I just finished a class on conscious aging, and a 92-year-old took the class because she said to me, I came here because I want to learn how to die consciously. What a gift. What a gift she was in the class.
Wow.
It's just kind of amazing. But, and many people have done this in practitioner class and in training as a minister. But for those who haven't, I have them write their obituary, their eulogy, and their epitaph. The epitaph's fun. We have a lot of fun saying, what do you want on your tombstone? What would you like people to say? And if you want people to be saying that when you die, how then must you live so that they will say that? And I'll give you mine because many years ago, I wrote very simply, when people start my memorial service, I want them to say, we are gathered together because we have felt loved in her presence.
Oh.
I love that. And trust me, it makes me think every time I'm not doing something that is helping someone feel loved in my presence, it makes me stop and say, if that's how I want to be remembered, how do I live?
How wonderful. So can you give us some resources here to learn a little bit more about these topics? And do you have any classes coming up?
The best thing is just to go to my website and sign up for my email list. I used to send things out every week, but I now am very sporadic in it. But there are a lot of resources right on the website. I have hundreds of articles on there, and a lot of articles just in spirituality in general. I think I also have a copy of Embracing the Aging Process. And if it's not on there, you can go to Amazon and type my name in on Amazon. I've written about 7 books. You can get some of the different copies of those. But there's a lot of free things that you can find right on that website and on the mailing list. And you can sign up for it. And my phone number's there. If you want to contact me directly, I'll feel free.
Yes. And I always said to people, I said, you know what? I'm not going to retire. I'm going to refire.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go do something else with my life. And that's what I've been doing here. I wanted to talk to you, since you are a member of our faculty down there at Holmes Institute. Before we go, I wanted to talk about COVID has just taken the book on ministry and taken it to the shredder. So what are you talking to your students about? Also the ministers that you're mentoring about how to do ministry post-COVID? Well,
I had this conversation. I'm involved with a group from the Unity Church as well as Religious Science. And I had this conversation, and somebody said there'll always be a need for church. And for some, I believe that that's true, and they'll have that kind of ministry. So some of what we've always learned will be there. But I think it's important to say, what is emerging today? If I can pay attention to the fact that we've had a pandemic that closed the doors to our churches, that have put us mostly online, that have started all kinds of new ministry, and it's more than just an internet ministry, and thank God for this beautiful broadcast, but it's even more than that. And I'm inviting people to look at what's emerging and see we're being called to. I really think that the world is trying to, or the Spirit is trying to tell the world that there's something new that wants to be born. I wish I could tell you what it was, Michael. Many years ago, I started writing a book called The New Church. And I've never written it because I never got the answer. But I don't think the answer comes from any one person. And I think that that's why I don't have the answer. I think the answer is coming from us as a collective. So I invite my students who are sitting there in class saying, show us how to be a minister in a church. And I'll say, I'll show you what you really need. Here, you can look that up. But I want you to go within. I want you to figure out, what is Spirit saying to the world today? What wants to be born? And I don't think we know yet, to be honest with you. And I think there's some whole new way of being, and it's exciting. It, to me, is very exciting, and I'm delighted to be a part of it. And I recognize now it's never the minister on the stage alone. It's about a we. It's about coming together and being more collaborative, and recognizing that where two or more are gathered is where the I am is. And so let's learn how to be a we, and then let's learn how to be the all.
This time has flown by. Thank you so very much. If you'd like to learn more about Reverend Dr. Toni LaMotta's ministry, please go to ToniLaMotta.com. There she has resources. She also does coaching, personal mentoring, and all kinds of wonderful stuff. So go to her website, ToniLaMotta.com. Thank you so very much for being here this evening. This has been so wonderful. Again, go to her website and get a lot more information.
Thanks, Michael.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being on. All right, time for us to go here. We will see you this weekend in some form. We have all kinds of wonderful activities, including prayer in the evening. I'll be doing some prayer at 10:15 Eastern. That's 8:15 Mountain Time here on the New Thought Media Network. Also, take a look at our schedule at ntmedia.org. Lots of wonderful programs for you. And also, our Sunday schedule is absolutely wonderful. You can go from center to center in just about 4 hours. Wonderful ministry on Sunday. Again, go to our website, ntmedia.org. If you could, click on the donate button. And again, give into this wonderful message that we are taking to the world. For all of us, for Dr. Toni, myself, and also my producer, Diego Reyes in the background, Pastor Michael Mangus, have a wonderful week.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us this evening for Friday's Fireside Chat with Pastor Michael Mangus. Join us again next week at 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain for more spiritual conversations for today. For more information and replays of past shows, please visit the New Thought Radio and Media Network's Facebook page. Until next week, may God bless you richly and abundantly.